I'm showing my elder sign. Respect your elders. Hello there, you're watching Greg Johnson Making, and I'm making a mutant cyborg kaiju Cthulhu. Dan does. He does, he did, and he'd do it again. Dan Does is a, let's be honest, brilliant YouTube maker and sculptor who creates mutant cyborg kaiju MCKs and suggested I might like to do that too. I'm honoured, I would like to do that too, so let's do that too.
You just need to think about your answers here, because I have a list of potential collabs.
Okay, I can tell I'm wobbling already on the tracks. It's
Hey, you don't tell me that it's wobbling on the tracks. You're new to you're a fresh fish.
Let's establish some definitions. A mutant is a life form that's mutated. A cyborg is a life form that has mechanical parts to enhance its powers. A kaiju is a giant Japanese attack monster like Godzilla or Mothra. And Cthulhu is H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic interdimensional big bad with wings, big claws, and an octopus-like head, i.e. a tentacle mouth, like Zoidberg. It was quite an ambitious build, and this is quite an ambitious video, so let's crack on. I'm going to start with the legs. I was nervous to make the head, so start from the ground up. We'll do the legs and pelvis, then one of the arms, which is a bunch of guns, the other arm, which is a massive buzzsaw, then the head, then we'll paint it, then add some final details, pipes and decals and stuff, and weather it, and then see the finished thing. That's enough preamble, let's make a kaiju. Do I use this bit? I'm not going to show you the entirety of this Do I Use This bit because it's 12 minutes long, but I think I will do it as a bonus video for my patrons so you can see all my individual bits. I'm an organisation head, I'm a big organisational fan, as you can see, particularly when I've got a crate like this that I've been storing for months and putting things into it, thinking, oh, that's a useful egg with a doll inside. There's some useful plastic tentacles and dragon wings. I bought those especially, I'm lying if I say I just found them. Yeah, that gold ball is from a giant Ferrero Rocher, I'm going to use that. Yellow train, it's mostly charity shop stuff. Plastic egg I bought from Asda and didn't use. Lots of guns, toy parts, those white things are draw runners, little lamps, baby food caps, and just greeblies I wanted to use for a while. And an old umbrella I found in the street. Legs. Let's start with legs, that's a very good place to start. So, like me, I'm sure you've always thought that those brass picture hooks would make good robots or sort of starbug, you know, spaceship feet. So, a long wanted to use greebly that I am finally using. I'm wrapping them around the clips from Clippy coat hangers. Those orange squares come off, again, cheapo clips, those little cheap clamps you get from like car boot sales that always break, so I always save those. A little plastic tab from some caps, and then a cardboard sole. It's got a flimsy cardboard sole. The red bit on the heel is off a food bag clip. Knockoff Lego. Can't afford legit Lego, obviously. Denuded of its nubbins using my snips. And then these little crocodile clips are, I'm doing this a lot. They're for hanging photos. Little hooks with a clip. So he can actually hold things in his toes, which I haven't filmed, but I could still do. Then cover the nubbin holes with some frozen food packaging, and you've got two nice Robo feet. For the Robo high tops, love these. These are the triggers from air freshener. The air freshener cans I use as the tanks on my alien flamethrower. And they just happen to fit around these ankles, which are disposable razors, rather nicely. So anywhere there's a hollow, or the backs of things, the underside of things, lots of goth glue, and just fill it up. These things, my wife has explained to me, are for soaking off your nail varnish, because I bought a big bag of cotton wool balls and there were like 10 of these in there just for free. Didn't think I'd use them, but they look like robo shins. So you bet I'm going to use them. Drill down into the top of the foot, and then I'm using these self-tapping screws, just a peg-shaped screw, again up into the foot, hot glue, super glue, baking soda, activator, all the glues. More picture hanging gear, picture hooks that I've always thought would make good robotic ankles. And they look great. More cardboard sole. This is the back foot. You've rather caught me on the back foot here, which is a different coat hanger clip that has round sort of toes either side for stability. And the ankle of this one is a block of toy building block. Again, hot glue. Fill her up. All these cheap hollow toys that need filling. Put the crane arm over that ankle and super glue, baking soda, hot glue. Because, as I said, these are flimsy and I also wanted a better mating surface to glue things to, I'm filling this leg with some chunky squared owl and then covering that chunky squared owl with a lateral flow test. Nearly run out of them. That'll be a sad day, won't it? Then, to make the leg slightly more interesting, this is a plant labelling tab from Wilko's. Blob of goth glue on the heel. Sounds like a pretty Cotswold village. Lovely day, Britain in bloom here at Goth Glue on the Heel. If I was a coward, which I ain't, then... too aggressive. If I was a coward, I would use these guns as guns, and believe me, I was tempted. But I thought, no, let's use them as legs. Great thing with cheap toys is they can usually split in half to create a nice flat side. So I've just cut off half that gun and then they fit nicely down the outside of the legs. Then these are drawer brackets. They're the things that drawers run on, which just had a nice curve and a hole through and looked a bit like robotic legs. So I'm drilling through the backs of these guns, which are now hips. All aboard the Construction Express. Disappointing sequel to Polar Express. I thought the way it just carries the lad off to work on a building site is... it's just really depressing. And using a metal straw as the pelvic axle. My favourite Scandi crime author. Okay, these are some knockoff Lego blocks and some plain wooden dominoes to fill out the bottom of the pelvis. And a little green train. Is that Henry, the green one? Not Thomas, obviously. Is it Gordon? I don't know, one of the trains. Ah, this is a Necromunda bulkhead, or some Necromunda parts that a very lovely fellow YouTuber sent me in the post. Makes a great detail panel, but I am going to cover it up later, which ever so slightly breaks my heart. Not very much, just a very tiny bit. It breaks my heart. These are food, like baby food pouch nozzles, and these are great. They're called like hair braid tubes. You're meant to put hair braids through them, and they just have this nice corrugated, ridged tube. Thicken out the pelvic axle with a little bit of thin masking tape, and now that pelvis is wedged on there. Little adjustments. As you're sticking things that aren't meant to be stuck together, you're always making tiny adjustments. Like I cut off way more of this upper crane leg than I thought I would, but just for the angle, I just didn't need it to be any more chunky than it was. I'm just realising I should have used a squared owl as the pelvic axle. Because if it was square, put it in diamond shape, there wouldn't be any rotating issues. Squared owls, they're always the answer. How well? Guns, guns, guns! There's a lot of Robocop in this one. The body looks like Ed 209 and the paint job's inspired by Robocop. Anyway, more importantly, these are novelty gun-shaped cocktail sticks. From eBay. Stick a gun in your cheese, as the old saying goes. And I treat myself to a bag of knockoff Lego guns, which are easy, cheap, small detail. This thing's meant to be about 50 foot tall, so you need lots of little details to make it look big. Those are a collection of soy milk and oat milk and, you know, Tetra Pak caps and lids that I've been saving for ages that I'm going to use as the hips. Funny shaped building blocks that I thought would make nice side guns. That grey bit is a bit of Neutrona wand stand from my Ghostbusters build. These are rubbery, bendy plastic, so you want to sort of fill it with something as much as you can. So goth glue, fit them together, and it goes a bit more rigid. Cutting down your Ghostbusters. Pen parts are really good for small guns, particularly clicky or retractable pens, but this is from inside an old fountain pen, like an ink cartridge. Another play piece cut in half. You will get crumbly dumblies, but just deal with them as best you can. Soap dispenser. Any sort of dispenser bottle with a push down thing will have a cool tube inside it. They have these reinforced tubes that just have nice detail. These just pressure fit together, super satisfying. And then I think that's a teddy bear eye grommet, some kind of washer. There's a detail on the top. This is another bit of coat hanger, clip. A lot of the time with scratch bashing, the parts you use are just the ones that fit. Someone's telling you to stick them together, so you do. Love this thing. This is from inside the gun part, the trigger of a cheap garden hose. And this is a portable ear cleaning kit. I don't use it to clean my ears because they're fine, but it has these tiny metal details in, and this one's kind of a ray gun, energy gun sort of vibe. Right, I got up to film this cute shot, and that happened. I can't do my work. Yeah, how inconvenient. More lateral flow test. This is the swab rod, stuck into a ribbed felt pen cap to make a sort of Gatling gun. I figured one of the guns should be a Gatling gun. Make them all the same length with your snips. and stick on a little slice of tube. These are the hips I made, various, as I say, soy milk lids all stuck together, just cardboard on the back and stuck washers either side. Fill that with hot glue, that's the worst that could happen. Dirty boy. So yeah, the undersides and backs and insides of all these joins are mostly 5-minute epoxy and super glue and baking soda, just to really try and hold this thing together. Another little bit of the Construction Express, little panel to go on the gun. Oh, and that's it for the legs. Hard cut to black. Buzzsaw! So the other arm is a buzzsaw. It was going to be a big Gatling gun from the picture, but I thought buzzsaw's better. Notice my rotary tool was blunt and it just gave me the idea. So I've got this little LED angle poise lamp, just using the angle poise bit as a working elbow, fully posable action figure, which also just pressure fits perfectly inside this yellow bit of toy, don't know what it is, and that's lovely. Genuine rotary tool blade. This is the spindle from a cassette tape, so now I just need to make 2 arms, taped together 2 bits of lolly stick, used my pin vise, my tiny hand drill, to put corresponding holes through each one, paper clip to join them all together, and then these are the arms off the train, the green train. Is it Henry? Maybe it's Henry. Then these play pieces, which I just found in the box of Mega Blocks I bought on Facebook Marketplace, which just make nice elbow covering caps, covering that hole with a paper sticker, colouring it in black in case the primer doesn't get in there. And then these fasteners, brass fastener buttons that I use for my ecto goggles, I use a lot because they make nice sockets. So fit the arm, the shoulder over the pelvic axle, a little bit of felt pen cap and more press button. Then I figured if I do a tiny pin vise hole and I glue just a drawing pin into the end of that, this arm won't be glued, so it will remain posable. So part of this is a fully actionable toy. Using up every last bit of the cow, this is some grey gun that I cut off that grey gun, stuck into a bit of felt tip pen again. This is a strip of fine detail, really like this, which I think is a bit of printer that or scanner maybe, that I found in the alley around the back of our house. Another digger. I thought I'd use the red digger arm, but then realised, ooh, that blue body's got some nice panel. Ooh! That's how all my thoughts start. Ooh! That blue body's got some nice panel detail, so that's what I covered up the Necromunda panel with. So I have some regrets. I tried to prise the panel off, so if you want to know whether super glue really works, it does. It really works. Detailing the front of the pelvic platform with this bit, again, of that plastic strip off an old printer just found on the ground. One day I'm going to do a build made entirely of stuff I found on the ground, because I have a box. These little bosses, they're kind of beads surrounded by other beads that I just stuck on top of the legs, and detailing the pelvic platform with, of course, gun-shaped novelty cocktail stick parts. Classic. Panelling, one way I really like to do fine panelling is just stickers, and I don't do rivets because it's too much. It's too much. Maybe I should rivet, especially if I'm sharing screen time with Dan Does. But you know, you can't out-rivet the Rivet King. 2 big splunges of hot glue underneath to cover up the sort of pelvic mess, with a couple of, again, felt tip pen lids. And then, in a tribute to Studson, I'm using one of these toy party favour trophies to make a nice layered collar, and putting a wooden pizza puzzle piece in there for something to screw the head down into, because wood screws are my screw of choice. We'll be back after these important messages.
Created by nature, perfected by insanity, the mutant cyborg kaiju strike! Multiple swallowable accessories, realistic limb-flailing action, and now with the real smell of death!
Oh,
Well, that's inappropriate! But I love getting crazy! Who will triumph in the ultimate battle for young hearts and minds? Cosmic Cthulhu with his multitude of madness, or the mighty Gelator and his translucent boneless horde?
Who's a mutant?
not you. You're not my real dad.
LCK! The mutant cyborg kaiju! Batteries unavailable.
Welcome back. So for the head, my camera was out of commission because I was uploading all that footage, about 4 hours worth of footage. So these are just some phone photos. I hot glued the Ferrero Rocher ball onto the front of the sanded doll egg. This egg had a doll in it. will never understand why. Then I've just bulked it out with some sausages of tin foil, again covered in hot glue, just starting to try and organicify it a little bit. A sort of muffin top around the head there. Cheating! No scratch bashing. Yeah, these are tentacles that I bought. I did buy them for something else. I was planning on making a big Men in Black gun that has a little alien on the side. That's what I'll use that octopus for, because that's too rubbery for this. But these are plastic food, restaurant window display food, and some lovely jewellery. Shame to cut it up, it's so nice. The little earring ones are even mounted on a bit of wire. They're so perfect for this. So I'm just positioning them, carving off. It's very easy to cut. I was worried about painting it because it feels almost silicone-y. It's very shiny plastic, but I use an interesting primer that really works. So stay tuned. Using my gum bar to stick some holes in, and then put a bit of wire coat hanger in the bottom of each one, folded back so it hooks into the hole. Super glue on the outside, goth glue on the inside. Which just sums me up. Is that a t-shirt? Then using my pyrography tool with a nice flat nib to, very poorly filmed, to melt out an interesting mouth shape. Isn't that good? Love that thing. Right, this is Milliput, because it needs to be, this thing's going to be quite small, so it needs to be rock hard. So I'm just carving it out using a silicone tool and a ball stylus, and then sticking in the ends of cocktail sticks, bamboo skewers, and brass safety pins. Then this is Das clay, air drying clay. Roll it out with a rolling pin, cover in PVA glue and water, and then put on sheets for basic bulking, not fine detail. But quite a nice material to use in the end. It has its qualities and I'm learning what they are. Like there, for example, at the bottom of that flabby cheek, if you let it dry and let it build up a bit of a skin and then start pushing it around, you get those horribly realistic sort of bread dough. That jowl comes from letting it dry and then pushing it down, so you get that pouchy skin, which is the best bit of sculpture on the whole thing. And it's not sculpture. I'm not a good sculptor. I'm not a bad sculptor. I'm not a sculptor, but I am sculpting. Use whatever's the right shape. That's a butter knife, and this is a wooden sort of picnic fork that were just in my bits tube. So I thought, ooh, and just, ooh, again. My thoughts are so enthusiastic. Ooh! So I let this mouth dry over the other half of the Ferrero Rocher ball, so it would have a convex curve to fit inside the head. Then a bit of super glue just to really hold the teeth in and cover it in gloss black paint. I liked the teeth so much I thought I'm going to add some more teeth to the maw, the ravening maw. So these are pins stuck round a couple of washers just to make a flat disc. Super glue at first, then UV resin, and then put pins on the back as well. And you've got whoa, Edgar Wright, all right. Prop your torch up so you don't have to hold it because your time's valuable. And then again, paint it gloss black, and you've got lots of teeth. Very happy with this maw. Highlighting it just using pens, metallics, gold and silver, a red Sharpie, a magenta Sharpie, and there we have a maw to rule them all. I'm made of pins, so it can hurt you. Believe me. Stuck my finger in there, stupid. Brain nodes. This is a strip of 20 LEDs, and I thought I'll have 10. So I put the bulbs folded back to back like that, held together with super glue. Then over them I put a bit of either soap pump tubing or just the little plastic tube you get protecting the tops of all your fine paintbrushes. So my paintbrushes are now unprotected. Slid that over the lights, UV resin into the tube, then put in a brass picture hanging nail from the hooks that I use for the feet, and set that UV resin with my purple torch. Pins with a spherical end would have been better, but I had brass nails, so that's what I used. There's a lot of compromise in the scratch bashing world. You've got to compromise and keep on bashing. Wings! These were bought especially for this. I thought, why sculpt some dragon wings when you can just, you know? But to make them a bit more interesting and organic and ancient looking, I'm using my pyrography tool, my new favourite tool, to put holes in them. Then, because they are so flimsy, they're not rubber but they're really flexible plastic, I've used wire coat hanger on the arm joint at the top of each wing, smoothed over with hot glue, and then I just used my baking soda brush and it just stopped it being quite so shiny. Brain node holes. Now that the air drying clay is dry, I'm drilling in. Some of these holes end up being in slightly the wrong place, but that just re-drill them, it's fine. Then to guide the Milliput wrinkles I'm about to add on, I'm using these washers into which the cup washers I'm going to put on the brain nodes so I know where they go, basically. And then I'm using Milliput to make long, it's not easy this, I needed long, very fine worms. So I've just put wrinkles around where those washers are so that they look sort of stamped into the rubbery head. Cthulhu has a rubbery body, that's canon, that's in the original description. So these wings, the bit of wire coat hanger that sticks off the stump, like with the tentacles, I'm just bending it back so it sits against the inside of the plastic egg. So you sort of hook them on, super glue and baking soda on the outside, hot glue on the inside. I need just a code way of saying that phrase with one word, because yeah, super glue on the outside, hot glue on the inside. But then I thought to bulk out the shoulder, basically, yeah, hot glue, because you can smooth it around and you've got a nice plasticky join. My wife was very helpful in consulting about where the wings go. If they're on the side sticking out, they look like ears. They have to go back a bit, flatter to the head, and then angled up in the same angle as the eyebrow. And you know, you've got to find your wings look, your head wings have got to look right. They've got to be correct. Eyes. If you want a tutorial on how to make your own beautiful eyes, watch Dan Does, or watch me. These are sticker eyes. I think you put them on fishing flies, but I found them and I like the colours and they all come in different sizes. So I've used a post-it note to make a template of the eye socket. I'm making 3 little clay stamps just out of cardboard stuck on the bottom of a matchstick, and so I can paint it without having to put the eyes on and mask over them. I use those stamps to decide where the eyes are going to go and then scrape out the Milliput, revealing the Ferrero Rocher gold ball beneath. I mean, that's good, isn't it? You could leave the eyes off and put a light inside the head. Anyway, it's too late now. Milliput on the shoulders, just texturing it with a paintbrush that I've ruined with super glue, so I may as well use it as a texturing tool. Let's detail the head egg. So my pyrography tool is my new favourite cutting tool. It doesn't chuck dust everywhere and it isn't noisy. So yeah, as long as the window's open and you've got a thingy on, respirator, yeah, I love that thing. These are, again, I think I finally run out of these, but these are the rings that hold a lampshade onto a lamp. So I've put those in as the sockets out of which little arms are going to come. Love those, we'll see those in a bit. And then these, thank you to Matt and Emily, this is a test of whether or not you're still watching these videos, for saving up a load of baby food caps for me. I've finally used 2 of them. Put fly mesh on the inside, probably didn't need to, but it's a nice detail for those who know it's there. Then another piece of that tiny toy digger, which I'm just using a file to curve so it fits on the butt of the egg. I used a cable tie to detail around the top. This vent is from inside one of those boxes of crystals that are dehumidifiers that fill up with water. And I couldn't throw it away without tearing it apart, and there was a nice plastic vent in there. This is a greebly about which I'm excited. So these are the Ziploc bit from the top of a bag of like cat food or dried fruit. It's very flexible, doesn't paint that well, but it's 3 really fine lines that are flexible so you can detail them around anything. So I've been saving them and it worked great. More popper button parts, using my step bit to put holes in the side, and then that button just fits perfectly into that sort of socket hole, which is very satisfying. That's a gardening cable tie, green plastic. Again from Wilco. Gone but never forgotten. As I said, I was worried about priming some of these very plasticky paints, but then I thought, well, I've got some leather paint when I did my Ghostbusters boots, and some white fabric paint as well. So as a tester on this headless, armless, wingless dragon and a spare tentacle, the black leather paint and the white fabric paint both worked great. Particularly that black leather paint, although I end up using the white, you can't scratch it off. So that's good. But as I say, I used the white fabric paint for this. I don't think it's rubber, but it's very rubberized plastic. But yeah, it works. It's a flexible skin. Then any tentacles that get swamped, just stick a Q-tip in there. Gingerly. Super glue all over the wooden pizza piece. This doll egg has a flat bottom, so it's perfect for this. Stick it on, 2 screws down into the wooden bit so it doesn't rotate, and those 2 things are now beautifully joined together. More detailing, another panel. I saved all the stickers from mini discs and cassette tapes and mini DV tapes, so I've got all these small panel stickers, Gom Jabbar rivets, and then these. So I had the idea of using the dragon's arms as little arms, but then my wife had the idea that those arms should be operating joysticks, which is, you know, I know a good idea when I hear one. So these are stuck onto the domes of 2 fridge magnets, and then I've made these control boxes, and for the joysticks I'm using these cocktail stirrers that have a ball on the bottom. It's hard to pick a bit I'm most pleased with, but those arms and joysticks, love them. Then a pustule pass. Split peas, lentils, and half pearl beads. Just put the super glue on and then slide them into place, because it's pretty finicky, particularly once you've got super glue on the end of your tweezers and everything just starts sticking to the thing you don't want it to stick to. But yeah, that pustule pass. It's pustulant. Forget it, kid, it's prime time. So I primed the top and bottom in black, then the top I had some fluorescent green paint, so I just put some green freckles, just a little speckle of green. I don't think you can see any of them in the final thing, but it's a nice fine detail, and did a zenithal zap of chrome on the base, but we'll see the base in a bit. So this is slap chop painting. You prime something black, you dry brush it with grey, then a lighter dry brush in white or very pale grey, then you put clear colour paints over the top like you're tinting a black and white photo. So I'm using Citadel Militarum Green, my mossy green from the last terrain build, in all the shadowy bits and under flaps, and Vallejo green wash on the brighter green bits. Then this is Krieg Khaki, back to Citadel. I've got no brand loyalty. And I'm dry brushing, so this isn't slap chop anymore because these are now opaque paints. I knew the body was green and the tentacles were purple, but I wanted those colours to sort of bleed from one onto the other, because just one is too like the Riddler or something. So just dry brushing some purple onto the membranous bits of the wings. And then this is magenta contrast paint. I thought let's get some pink in there and just hit the edges. And these veins, I figured these brain nose are pretty angry. You know, they've not been well cared for. Looked at lots of pictures of octopuses, so I realised that the underside of a tentacle is brighter than the upper side of a tentacle, so I'm just dry brushing with increasingly pale pink, and in the end I just hit the suckers with pure white, but then magenta contrast paint on the ends, and here I've mixed clear Tamiya yellow with a bit of very mucky looking paint water, and I'm toothbrushing. You want lots of little specular details, and the more fine details you get on there, the bigger it looks. Going back to more Krieg Khaki, just on the highlights. You paint in shadows, then you knock your highlights up and you just keep it all looking nice. Why not put some blue glitter paint around the eyes? And then stuck in the mouth with goth glue. Love that more. Bit of clear red model paint around the mouth because you obviously rampage through a jam factory. Then coloured in the eyes just with a black marker pen, super glue in the eyes. Very fiddly job with the tweezers. Get the eyes stuck in there. Blob of UV resin on each eye. Use your Gomji bar just to fill in the eye hole. Just a tiny, tiny drop of resin, and then set them with your purple torch. And I think those are very nice holographic eyes. Then, because I'd dry brushed purple onto the green body, I thought, no, it needs green on the back of the purple tentacles. I wasn't happy with it, and then I did this and I was happy with it. Those pustules, those dots on the back of the tentacles are just blobs of super glue. This is, I think, eyeshadow or some kind of holographic powder, and I thought, what the heck, he's a cosmic entity, let's make him shine. So ends of tentacles, and again the membranous skin on the wings has this holographic powder, which looks fabulous. Robo body. So after it was primed black, did a zenithal highlight of chrome paint just from above, and then an aqua teal car paint from below, so the shadows are kind of blue, so it's not just silver, like Robocop is silver, but has all that purple and blue on there. And then the rest of the paint job, apart from a couple of bits of gold, is metallic pens. Silver, copper, brass and gold. Just sat mostly while watching telly and just sort of coloured it in with pens, which I really like, because painting's fiddly. If I was going to get an intern and give them some real world industry experience, i.e. unpaid labour, I'd just get them to wash my brushes for me. Tiny bit of painting. I had some antique gold enamel, but mostly it's 2 different rattle cans of paint and pens. Don't worry, we're in the home stretch. So once again I'm using my sheet of Proton Pack stickers for not what they were intended for. The finer these details can be, the better, because it looks big. These are some weird novelty. I don't love these stickers, but I love the things you can cut out of them. Little bits of hazard stripe and the word caution, the word warning. If you can't get your finger in there, just use a dry Q-tip to press on the stickers. Attaching the buzzsaw, now it's all painted, again using that cassette tape player spindle. And then I've always saved up a bag of old guitar strings. I used most of them in a painting I did for my ex, but I do have some left. And then a trick I learnt from, who was it now? Oh yeah, Dan Does, using an earring back as a thing to hold on to wires, which I think is a genius idea. So I stole it, and then putting these in various holes in the robot, held in with super glue. Another Dan Does idea, using large coloured paper clips as wire. Bend them around something that's the right curve and stick them in. Now the paint job's done. We're sticking in these are cup washers. So putting them into all the node holes and then drilling any extra holes where I decided it should be slightly in a different place. Do the lights work? Yes, they do. As always, tacked in with super glue and baking soda, but then held in on the inside with goth glue. Then a blob of UV resin in the cup washer, swoosh it around, and then this is the long spring. Cut it into 10 equally sized pieces and they just slot over, and then set the UV resin with your torch. Yeah. I'm mad happy with them. I want them in my brain. Disgusting slime. I couldn't not buy some disgusting slime. I figured there'd be some sort of alien pus coming out. I need a bit of TCP on there, or a wet wipe or something. But yeah, so they're a bit angry and pustulent. But aren't we all? And then a bit of weathering. I bought Nuln oil, which is a black wash, but mostly I use Agrax Earthshade, which is a brown wash. Just dark washes to bring out all the details. Then this is 3D crystal lacquer, because I figured Cthulhu's got to be wet. Then stick the arms through the holes, super glue to tack it in place, goth glue to hold it in place, then realised there was still another thing to make. I had to make the joystick handles. So these are, as I said, the bottoms of plastic cocktail stirrers, a little bit of tubing from a water pistol, and then 2 bits of toy tube, coloured in with a liquid chrome pen. Then put 2 coloured beads on the top of either one, green and red, because I like the idea that the levers are go and stop. I really love those brown hairbands as cable tubing, piping, so added some more of those. Then finally, very nearly finally, super glue to stick the joysticks in, tiny bit of Nuln oil wash just to bring out the detail on the joystick, a foam sticky tab to which I'm adding the battery pack and switch for the lights. I also put blobs of hot glue either side, making sure I didn't glue down the flap so you can still change the batteries. And then, very gingerly, actually it took a bit of brute force, but I scraped off most of the paint. It's going to go on there. It's not a triumphant final shot, this. There's a click. There's a click sometimes. Oh, there we go. Didn't break anything off. Now let's hear the terrible tale of Kaiju. So yeah, it all started innocently enough. It was just the guys at the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, said, let's genetically engineer our own Cthulhu. We've all met a guy in a rubber Cthulhu costume at a film screening, but let's go one better. And obviously one better than that is a 60-foot actual monster. So, as anyone would, deep in the bowels of their Los Angeles headquarters, they got an octopus, got some bat wings, stuck a bit of claws on it, gave it a lot of, whey powder and Complan and stuff, and it started growing. Fair enough. It got a bit too big for its tank and started getting kind of aggro. And the Historical Society, they've got a lot of t-shirts to pack and audio adventures to record, and they just want this thing to be a bit less bother. So stick some brain control nodes in it and that'll calm it down. However, octopi are mostly brain, right? They can do Rubik's Cubes and stuff. So be very careful what you put a brain control node into. If you stick a brain control node into a sort of 40-foot by this stage brain and think you can telepathically control it, it's going to start telepathically controlling you. Kaijus like bring me a body, some legs would be nice, would it kill you to put some Gatling guns on me, buzzsaw could be fun, that kind of thing. And that really, it becoming heavily armed was the start of their issues. So yeah, long story short, we all know the rest, but it busted out of its confines, destroyed a decent chunk of LA, and as it strode off towards the Hollywood sign to try and rearrange the letters into a swear, one of the many twisted geniuses at the HBLHS was heard to mutter, "This is more or less exactly what I didn't want to happen." Ah well. And there you have him, his big boy. Worship at his robotic feet. I know I do. Thank you so much to Dan Does for inviting me on board the MCK train.
You don't come along. I've been doing this 2 years, Sonny Jim.
I mean, I've been making shorts and sketches for 20 years.
Oh yeah, doesn't matter. That counts for nothing now. You're starting fresh. You're on the crafting train, or you could be.
Yeah.
If you play your cards right.
It's been a delight. And speaking of things that are a constant delight, in a slightly sucky-uppy segue, thank you very much to my patrons as always. If you're in a position to help the channel grow, then why not consider becoming a patron yourself? That would be awesome. This week's YouTube channel recommendation, other than Dan does obviously, but I've already recommended him, is Something Wicked. They brilliantly sculpt physically accurate medieval creatures from various myths and folklores. A fantastic sculptor who also throws in historical facts about the thing that they're making, so it's got that horrible histories edutainment vibe, which is just the best entertainment that there is. Edutainment is the best entertainment. If you've been so fantastic as to watch this rather long video right to this point, which you clearly have because you're listening to me, then you win. You win the prize of the code word, which is magnanimous. So yeah, comment the word magnanimous below and then we'll know. We'll be a little secret society of hardcore watchers who aren't scared of a probably 35-minute video. Haven't edited it yet, so I don't know. Thanks so much for watching. Lots of love from us, and we'll see you soon. Won't we, boy? I've been disrespectful. Doesn't like being called boy.